friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me talking about some of my favorite bookish endings. Now when I mean favorite, I mean like absolutely like hard hitting, like beautiful, poignant, just things that made me feel. And if you've been following my channel for a minute, you probably know what a good chunk of these are because it's not as if I don't not talk about them. So we're just going to go in no particular order and get right into it. So let's go. I'm going to start off with a book that was just right here and that I read on like the cusp of 2019. Like I think it came out in December 2019 and I finished it in like 2 days. And that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is Erin Morgenstern's sophomore novel following young Ezra Miller as he stumbles upon a secret society and tries to figure out exactly how he fits into everything. All tabbed up. If you guys have seen my vlog from this a couple years ago, you'll know I spent the majority of that vlog crying at the end. I thought the ending was just super fitting, and I just think that Erin Morgenstern has a way of just crafting endings that are both fitting and satisfying, even though that's not the ending I would have preferred it to happen, if that makes sense. Like Night Circus, beautiful ending. Would I want it to happen again? No, but it was a beautiful ending. Same thing with The Starless Sea. It's just probably one of my favorite endings, like a really good way to wrap up the like 2019, which was like the last probably good year that a lot of us have had since then. So one of my favorites of all time. But I need to reread it, but it's all like tabbed up. So I think I want to just buy like an extra copy just so I have it. I wanted to get the Waterstone special editions, but I don't think those are available anymore. So maybe I'll just save them to get the Waterstones edition period, like the UK covers. So yeah. The next was actually one that came out early this year. Yeah, back in March. Wow, that was a while ago. Not even a while ago. But that is All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. This is Sabaa Tahir's like sophomore book that isn't involving the Ember and the Ashes series. This follows three main perspectives. Misbah, who is an immigrant who is running away to America after like familial tragedies. Then it follows us into the future where we have Sal, who is Misbah's only son, and he is trying to not only grapple with his mother's failing health, but also trying to save the hotel that Misbah desperately like wanted to open up and start for the entire family. The other point of view is Noor, who is Sal's best friend, and after a falling out they haven't been speaking in quite some time, but her goal is to get out of this town and get into college and to start anew. This is one of my favorites of the year. I don't think I will never not read this book and not come near to tears or think about this book and just not feel the strong emotions that I was feeling while I was reading this novel. It's just an absolutely gorgeous novel, and I loved all of the things that Sabaa Tahir put into this book to make this ending just marvelous. It was just so fitting, and it wrapped up the story so beautifully, and I think it was so satisfying for all three of the characters, and it was just like a chef's kiss of an ending for such a tragic and heartbreaking novel. Like I think this book left on such a hopeful note that I am happy from there. I am content to never knowing anything about these characters again and just leaving them from there, because I think that was the most amazing way you can finish a book like this. It was just that good. The next book is actually a fan favorite on this channel. If y'all have been... My cat's scratching his face on the tripod, so if it's shaking, it's because of him. This is also the cat who's, thanks to his aggressive cheek scratching, has left like a little dent on the side of my door. I don't know what his bones are made out of. But the next book is actually a fan favorite on my channel. If you guys have been around for a minute, or even if you're new, you all know, love the Shadowhunter universe. I think Cassie Clare just has a way of weaving stories and characters and just creating these beautiful worlds. But one of my favorite endings, and one that'll probably be always my favorite ending, will have to be Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the third and final book in the Infernal Devices series. This follows Tessa as she goes to the UK to help save her brother, only to find out things about herself and the world around us that are exactly not how she expected. I think this ending was magnificent. It was like, if there was a way to wrap up a love triangle in the way that you do, this ending would be that way. I think that all the characters had a beautiful ending point that really matched up with their personalities and their storyline. It didn't feel like one character suddenly gotten out of character or an undeserving ending. This was probably the first time since my reading career where I felt like a book series ended so wonderfully and so satisfyingly, and there's no way I could ever put into words how much this ending is just like so perfect in every way, shape, or form. Like, I've reread these books multiple times since I have started reading the like Shadowhunter universe, and this in its entirety has topped my favorite endings of all time. Like, I know I said in no particular order, but if I could, this would probably be like at least like the top one, because it's just that good. I think that Cassie Clare outdid herself with the Infernal Devices, and while I think that she's definitely like grown as a writer, I don't think she'll ever be able to reach the kind of satisfaction and the kind of like the completion, not the completedness, but like the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my goodness. Like, I guess the wholeness, like y'all know what I'm trying to say. Like, it was just absolutely stunning. I think that, like I said, it was such a satisfying ending, and there wasn't one ending like for a character that I was just like meh about. Everyone was deserving of what they received. Everyone fit that specific like storyline, that plot line, and I felt like it was just very deserving and like full circle, I guess is the best way I could say it. It was just exactly what you would like. It just fit. I don't know how else to say it. It all just fit. It was just so good, and it will always remain one of my favorite endings no matter how many books I read. It will always be at least like top 3. The next book is actually from an favorite author of mine that I need to read more of, but it's fine. And that is Blanca y Roja, or Blanca and Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. I don't know, I like Blanca y Roja more than Blanca and Roja, but semantics. This follows two sisters, Blanca and Roja, who have been pitted against each other since birth. Now, there is a family curse roaming around where once the girls turn 15, the swans will come down from the heavens and take an undeserving girl, and turn her into a swan. This is generational trauma at its finest. And I think this story was just a beautiful the ending was just a beautiful encapsulation of the difficulties and the trials of breaking generational trauma, as well as the immense amount of love that sisters can have for each other, and how that love can literally overcome anything. And with that, it's just like how sisters often have to save themselves and families, and it's just, I think, or siblings in general, I think it was just a beautiful, well-written novel. And I don't talk about this book enough. I don't talk about Anna Marie McLemore enough, but I will in the future, because I will be picking up more of her novels. I blink and they released like 3 or 4 different books in this. I think I finished Blanca y Roja, and I was like, yeah, I have like one more book from their backlisted works, and then I can go ahead and pick up like any new ones. And then they came out with like 3 different new books, and I'm sitting here like, I am nowhere near caught up. I will never be caught up. I blink and it's all changed in a minute, but it's fine. But yeah, I definitely highly recommend any of Anna Marie McLemore's works. I recommend Blanca y Roja specifically. I don't think it's as hard-hitting as her previous book, like When the Moon Was Ours, or or Wild Beauty, but I think it's just like the ending of this was just absolutely marvelous. I think I finished this on my drive. My boyfriend was driving on the drive to Utah for Zion, and it was just like such a satisfying ending, and it was just a beautiful ending that just really was a testament to like how sisters love and how sisters care for each other, and like the bonds that go through when you are going through such a difficult family situation. I recommend it. The next book on this list is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is an adult contemporary following young Hannah, who's kind of at a crossroads. She ended a relationship with her married boss and has moved back home with her family. And now that she is like outside at night out on the town with her best friend, she has a choice to make. She can either go home for the night and call it a day, or she can go home with her long lost high school flame, whom she's always kind of been interested in what happened with him. It follows a dual timeline, it follows parallel timelines, and it plays on the concept of what if in the most beautiful and profound way. I think I gave this a 3. I did have I think like in terms of like my ratings for these books, it's probably one of the lower rated ratings on this list. But I think in terms of endings, it was just the most satisfying and beautiful ending. We get two different endings, and both of them, if you are someone like myself who is a believer in like the concept of like parallel timelines and universes, like the multiverse and all that bullshit and all that shit, I think that this was a beautiful way of writing that and showing this timeline of like a timeline where like one choice changes everything, but the outcome doesn't change. Like, you will still be happy no matter what you decide to do. And I think that's just a beautiful message in this novel. It's just absolutely like not what I was expecting with the book, but I think that now, the more that I look back on it after having read it, I think it probably is one of my favorite books. I do think I am due for a reread, so I probably will do that soon, but I think it's just like a beautiful novel, and it really plays on this concept of like what if, like how much a single change can shift the entire narrative of your life. But that doesn't mean it's for a good or a bad reason. The next book is probably one of the more heartbreaking books on this spot, and that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Y'all know me, I love a good Adam Silvera, but this is a YA, I guess, futuristic situation following Mateo and Rufus as they both receive the death cast call. Now, what the death cast is, it just basically lets you know you have like 48 hours to live, you have 24 hours left to live, and they have kind of like this Tinder app in essence, where you get to meet up with people who are also dying within the same time frame. You get to meet up, mourn together, party, or spend the last of your lives doing whatever you want with them. Now, these two end up finding each other in a weird happenstance of situations, and things ensue. Now, y'all are probably wondering, what can you enjoy about the ending that was so clearly spelled out for everyone and their mom, but yet no one listened to, and now there will be like a prequel book? I just think that the way that it ended and the way that these characters grew throughout the book was very satisfying to me. Like, yes, was I aware going into this novel that they were going to die at the end? No shit. But did I think that for a second that I would be so immersed and so focused on their love story, on their budding, very short love story, that I would forget all about what happens, and I would just be so torn up inside and just so also content with the ending, simply because these two found each other and had each other to love before they died? Yes. But it's just one of those books where, like, you know what you're getting into. You know there is no way out. You know that what is going to happen will happen, and they are going to go kaput. You just know. You are aware. And yet, you read the book hoping that there is a loophole, hoping and forgetting that maybe they'll get an extra day. Maybe there was a mistake. And then there isn't. And I think that in of itself is what makes this book, the ending specifically, so good. Because you have all this hope, you have all this like warmth and desperation, and then it happens. But it's one of my favorite books, honestly. I think this is probably a satisfying ending to a very tragic story, but it's just so good. The next one is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is a high fantasy YA / almost new adult series following young Selena Sardothian as she escapes the camps of Endovier, and she participates in the King's Champion. I said this this specific synopsis of the book since I read the first book, and every time I mention the series in my channel, because I can't spoil diddly squat, I can't. So I'm just gonna sit here and we're just gonna pretend I said it. It just follows a war, and there are characters that you love, and it's not at all what the first book is. I was really hesitant to pick up this last book. Like, if y'all know me, I stopped reading before Tower of Dawn, and then I read Tower of Dawn, and I was like, fine, it was good. Fine, we'll give Kale that. And then I took forever to pick this up because I was just so afraid of what was going to happen to the characters. And I think this was a beautiful ending to such it's such a heavy book. I can't, I need to go back to the gym and start doing more exercises. My wrists there's no more strength. But I think this was just such a beautiful and complicated way to end such a complicated novel. I think the stories, while they were upsetting, were also just as equally satisfying. I think those whom remained got the chance to do the things that they were always meant to do, and I felt like it was just like, it came about full circle absolutely beautifully and wonderfully. It was just good, and I can't see myself like trying, like sometimes, because this is how I practice how to write, this is how much of a crazy woman I am, I try to picture other endings for the books that I've read just to see, will it fit, blah 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 blah. I just get in the habit of like practicing endings. But I cannot picture myself writing a different ending for this book. I cannot picture this book going different so many ways, like so many different ways. I think the ending to everything just wrapped around so beautifully and so wonderfully that I can't even think about complaining or trying to figure out or wondering if this was a good ending. It just was. It just, full circle, it was so good. I probably won't be able to reread the series for another like 5 years because it just wrecked me inside. But it's still here, deep in my little kokoro. Just deep in there. Just wedged somewhere back there. And the last book on this list is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is an adult historical fantasy following young Cassiopeia as she escapes her family home after unleashing the god of death. Now the two of them traverse through 1920s Mexico to try and put him back together before he kind of kills her. Yeah. This was such a bittersweet ending. This is probably like it was such a, you read the book and you're like, I get it. I understand why it had to end this way. But it's so bittersweet because it's both happy and sad because both characters get what they want in the end, what they've always wanted, but then at the same time, they don't get the thing they didn't realize they wanted, you know? It was just so good, and every time I see this book on my shelf, I just think about the ending, and I think about the entire story as a whole, and I can picture every little scene, and the ending just brings me to like a weird sense of like calmness. I just feel calm and sad, and like I said, I understand why, but it's just something about it just makes me take a deep breath and release it and say that's how it had to happen. Like, I am sad, but it is how it had to happen. But that is it for some of my favorite bookish endings. If y'all like this video, let me know. I will do more of them in the future. It's not as if I don't read like 65 books a year. I'll find more favorite endings. But if you guys have read these books, or if this video inspired you to read any of these books or series, let me know in the comments as well. We can have a nice, lovely little conversation. But until next time, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week, or had a wonderful week whenever this video comes out, and hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week. We'll have a wonderful weekend. Until my next video, stay safe. Bye.